G'day, my name's Brett Hooker and my channel is I Love Dirt. And this video is about the Starlink internet service that you can purchase for travelling. The one I've purchased is called the RV option, and it's specifically designed for being able to take to different locations and set up and use on the move. They've got other services for using at a fixed location like a home or a business, and they've got another one for marine. They've got some other innovations coming, but this is about Starlink RV. So I purchased my Starlink RV a couple of months ago, probably 3 months ago now. This is the third time I've used it. The first two times I used it out at Windora, and I also used it at Conondale at one of the campsites there. Now the first two times I used it, there were too many trees around, and I had the standard cord that comes with it that goes from the modem to the satellite dish, which is 75 foot long, and I couldn't get the dish far enough out into an open area for it to be able to see enough of the sky to be able to work. So the first two times, no go. So then, before I came on this camping trip, I ordered the 150 foot cable that Starlink sells, knowing that that would give me the option to really, as far as possible, get the dish away from the trees. Now, we do like camping around the tree areas, it's a bit cooler, etc. So that totally makes sense from a locating your camper perspective. But as I say, the satellite dish can't work through branches and leaves and things like that. It's got to have open sky. So the 150 foot cable's worked out really well, and I'll just sort of pace out here along the cable. So I've been able to get it a fair way away from the camper. So that might be something to look at if you know you're going to be camping or staying in areas with a lot of trees and you can't get the satellite dish up onto a pole up high above the tree line. Then maybe look at getting that longer cable. So that's been really good for this particular camp. Now, from a operation perspective, it's actually been really good. It's worked. I've been able to get it out into that clear area, and I've been able to get a good, stable internet connection. I've run a few speed tests over the course of the week that we've been staying here, and my kids have been here, and of course the first thing they did was run a speed test, and it was something I think we were getting up to around 150 megabits per second, which is really good, which is a really, really good speed. You can do anything you want at that kind of speed in terms of what normal people do. So great speed. And the thing that really surprised me was how good the range on the Wi-Fi modem that comes with it is. You know, I've seen conversations about upgraded antennas for the Wi-Fi and whatever else, but just the built-in one that's in the provided modem. I'll do another shot up the hill here, but I would say we're getting in the order of 50, 60 meters of range, Wi-Fi range around the base. So for any sort of normal camping situation, that's got to be pretty good. Now, of course, if you've got another situation where you've got a couple of locations or lots of campers around or whatever else and you need further range, then by all means look at external Wi-Fi antennas and things like that. But we've had a group camp here with 4 different campers set up, and everybody's been able to access it. No trouble at all. It certainly handles multiple devices, no problem, so thumbs up from that perspective. So Wi-Fi range is really good just with the standard configuration, handles multiple devices. If you're enjoying the content we're producing on the I Love Dirt channel, go ahead and click the subscribe button and the like button to let other people know what we're doing and for you to stay up to date with the content we're producing. Now, in terms of carrying it here, there's lots of different bags and cases and things out on the market now. I've gone with 2 options. I've actually bought Starlink's hard case, and the reason I bought that one is it's truly over-engineered. It's really a really strong case, deep padding on the inside, custom molded to the satellite dish and the modem and the cables. And I bought that one for when I do my remote outback stuff, when I know the roads are going to be really corrugated and bumpy and rough, and I know I want this satellite equipment protected really well on the trip. So I've got that one for that. And my second bag that I use most of the time, I got the Drifta bag for it. Now the Drifta bag's more compact. It's got nice padded sleeve for the satellite dish. It's got the way they've designed it, the dish sits in face down and then the legs go over the top. They've got pockets for the cables, the power cable and the cable that goes between the modem and the satellite dish. So really well thought through design there, but a lot more compact, a lot lighter. So when you're trying to pack a bit of gear, etc., like this one, I was doing a base camp, so I had a fair bit of gear. That Drifta bag was a good design for that. So I've got the two depending on how I'm going to travel. Now the next thing about it, the setup was really simple. The whole system. There's a satellite dish, there's a modem, there's a power cable, and there's a cable that goes from the modem to the satellite dish. It's really simple to set up. You put an app on your phone, so you got to make sure you do that. Make sure you try it at home, actually. Here's a really good suggestion. So before you go out and use it for the first time, unbox it at home, try it at home, put the app on your phone so that you've got everything working before you go. So there is an app, so when you fire it up, you can turn the app on and you can actually watch the satellite connecting, and you'll know when your internet connection, your Wi-Fi connection's good to go. So really simple setup. But the next key thing is, from a remote perspective, is powering it. And out of the box, it requires 240 volts. Now, in my situation, I've got 240 volts in a couple of different ways. I've got an inverter in my Land Cruiser. I've got an inverter in my camper, so I can run it off either one of them. And I have been doing that, particularly during the day. When the sun's out, I'm generating so much power into the battery that the power that Starlink uses is negligible compared to what I'm collecting. I'm finding it uses 4 to 5 amps when it's running, a bit like a fridge actually, about the same as what my fridge in the camper uses. Again, so during the day, no drama, you've got sun coming in, it's replacing that. At night though, I wouldn't leave it on overnight. I've got a 200 amp hour lithium battery, so I've got plenty of battery, but fridge and lights and other devices and whatever else, I wouldn't leave the satellite on 24/7. We have been just turning it off when we don't need it. It takes 2 or 3 minutes to boot up when you turn it back on, so you do need to allow for that, but in a camping situation, a couple of minutes for it to boot up when you're ready to use it, no drama. Not too bad on power. Now, part of that power consumption is actually caused by the 240 volt inverter. The power that it needs, the unit itself is actually less than that, but my 2000 watt inverter in the camper uses 2 amps just when it's turned on, so part of that load's coming from the inverter. So as another option, I did use a portable battery pack. I've got a little 25 amp hour battery pack from iTech World, so 25 amp hour, and it's got a inverter built into it, and it generates 300 watts, so it's not super high power, but it's actually enough to power the Starlink. So if you didn't have an inverter in your camper, etc., then one of these little power boxes could work for you as well. Now, this little guy, the 25 amp hour, only ran it for about 4 or 5 hours before it went flat, and it actually takes a while to recharge. So if you're going to use a portable battery box, you'd want to take into account, how long is it going to last? How are you going to recharge that battery box if you're going to use it over a long period, over a week-long camping trip. Now, you might recharge your battery box off solar or car or whatever it is, but you're going to need to factor that in. Now, that said, if you only need the internet for 10-15 minutes, you're checking the news, you're checking the weather, you're just contacting folks back at home, things like that, then if it's on 15 minutes, 30 minutes at a time, then obviously the life in that little battery pack's going to be extended greatly, and you might easily recharge it overnight using another power source or using solar or something like that through the day. So you just got to factor that in. But again, if you had a portable battery pack, you certainly wouldn't be able to leave it on 24/7. You'd need to find a way to recharge that battery pack. But it absolutely works. So if you want a truly portable option, lithium battery pack with the Starlink is something that will work as long as your lithium battery pack has an inverter in it. So just going to show you here booting up the Starlink RV system off the iTech World 25 amp hour lithium battery pack. This one's got a 300 watt AC inverter in it. iTech World sells ones that are slightly bigger. I think they've got a 50 amp hour unit with a 500 watt inverter in it, and they've got a newer version of this 25 in what I think is better packaging. The box is better with a 300 watt inverter in it as well. So there's a couple of different devices, but iTech World's not the only company that does these lithium battery boxes. So certainly you could look at other ones, but that's what I've had. I've had this one for a couple of years now, and we love this little battery box. It's a little cracker. So let's have a look at the Starlink booting up. So I've got the app here running on my phone. It's currently not connected, got no Wi-Fi there on the phone. The process of connecting is very straightforward though. Just turn on the AC here. Now this unit is providing 240 volts out to the modem for the Starlink system. So it's going to go ahead now and start to boot. Each time I boot it up here, it takes a couple of minutes to boot up. You see the status there has changed to offline. and searching. So that means the dish is doing its work. And there you go. The service has come online. And if you look up in the corner of my phone there, I've got a Wi-Fi signal to the device. So there you go. So that took about 2.5 minutes to connect. So now I've got an internet connection, and just give me a moment here. So let's go ahead and do a speed test and see how this goes now that it's hooked up. So how good's that, hey? So I've been running just a little bit longer now. Looks like it's got itself all synchronized, no problem. 112 megabits per second download. And you've just heard the fan kick in on the little iTech World lithium battery system. That's just the cooling fan for the inverter there. But there you go. I've got a Starlink system, Starlink RV system, running off the iTech World 25 amp hour lithium battery pack with the 300 watt AC inverter in it. And you've just seen it boot up. As I say, it took about 2.5 minutes to boot up, and then just gave it a little bit longer to stabilise its signal with the satellites, and then 112 megabits per second download speed and 10 megabits per second upload speed. So one other thing I've got to try. So as I said, the first couple of times I used it, the trees got in the road. So I have got now a telescopic pole, and I ordered the pole adapter from Starlink, so I've got those ready to go. But on this particular camp, because it worked well out in the paddock, I haven't had to use it, so I've got another project ahead of me now to try out this telescopic pole and see how it goes in terms of getting the satellite dish up above a tree line. So if I'm camping in an area where there just isn't a clearing anywhere, and I do want my internet, I want to see if I can use this telescopic pole. The pole itself's probably only about 1.8 meters when it's packed up, so it's easy to carry around. But it'll get me, I think it's 5 meters up. So again, there's plenty of trees around taller than that, but I've only just got to find an area where there's a bit of a break in the tree cover, get the pole up there with the dish on top. I've got the long cord now, so that'll be a project for another day. So in conclusion, very happy with the Starlink system. I did have to go through that learning curve about the trees. So now that I've got that sorted out with the longer cable, it gives me some options. And as a separate activity, I will be going ahead and testing that pole setup. But absolutely it works, great quality connection, plenty of capacity. You can watch video if that's what you're into, but you can certainly connect to all the services you need to connect to. From my perspective, it now gives me another communication mechanism back to base, another option for emergency communications. It allows me to check in on weather patterns and things like that. And when you're truly remote out in the desert, even simple things like doing a little bit of research on the area that you're in, you found something and you want to learn a little bit more, being able to jump back onto the internet's a really cool thing. So from my perspective, 2 thumbs up, Starlink RV. Cheers everyone.